Morning everyone, it's Saturday, November the 18th, raining again. What's new really? It's 14 degrees, which is incredible really, isn't it? You know, halfway, well over halfway of November and 14 degrees in the morning. But it's Acorn Winter League, round 2, looking forward to it. We are on pegs, because it's a rotation, I'm on pegs 31 to 40. I think 31, 40, 33, really good pegs. They're sort of the boss pegs in the section, I think. So we're just pulled up outside the bridge in. Going to go and get a nice big fry up, and then I'll see you on the bank. Not ideal, guys. We got peg 36. It's probably the last peg I wanted in the section, guys. 36 and 38. Didn't want a good winter pegs. It's just not cold enough. It's 14 degrees this morning, and the 3 biggest threats in the section are Martin Ray, who's got 40. We've got Paul Nichols on 33 on the other bridge, and Big Lee on 34. So not ideal. Here's a look at 36. Bit of an edge there. Island, but there's no real second shelf on it, and it's not been boarded out across it, so it's all natural bank. You've got a bit of a right edge, but there's the bridge. Danger, the other bridge. But it's a series, so let's see what we can do. Okay, away we go. So starting across as we always do, and we're going to start with maggots over maggots. I just got a feeling it's going to be quite difficult. As you can see, with the water there up to the staging, I'm sat on there, and the keep net's there, and as it's running up on the bank, you can see it just running over the grass there to the right of my feet. The lake is properly full of water, so we've had lots and lots of rain. Same everywhere, isn't it? So I'm not sure if they're going to want to be in the deep water where that colder, heavier rainwater is, although we've put a line in there. So I'm going to start across first of all. We've been over for about 2 feeds. I've cut quite a bit of time out. We've had 2 feeds and spent about 25 to 30 minutes over there, and nothing, to be honest, not a line or nothing. So plan B, just going to feed some maggots in that deep water, 6.5 foot. We're fishing 012 line just in case we do find carp. Putting about 15 millimeters of maggots in. We're going to put some in there, and then we'll go back across again for another 10 minutes. The reason I'm fishing that length out in the deep water is just to keep things simple, because that length of pole is what I take off for the double shipping, so it just makes sense, doesn't it? Always, and we've got something.
And always try and make it easy for yourself. Lovely. Seems like a carp. Martin on the bridge has had sort of 3 or possibly 4 carp already down there. You can see him there. Sat down by that bridge, you can see him in shot. He's had 4, I think, already. Um, so that deep line, what we're talking about, we've put some maggots in there because if this doesn't happen, if it didn't happen across, and we didn't go across and hook this one, then that would have been that'll be the next port of call, really. Ah, back to square one. 0 fish in the net. Early days, and here we go. We've got something else. Doesn't feel massive, but anything to do. Avoid the dreaded blank. Nobody wants to do that, do they? Not massive, but it'll do. We're off the mark. Not the best of signs, though, is it? Perch, really. They're just not there. So we've had to drop down into our deep water now. Tip we're using on that is a 4B16 rube. I've chosen a wire one because earlier we had a little bit of wind when I was setting up from left to right, and if it does get up today, which it's supposed to, then that could hamper presentation. Plus, it's maggot fishing. I'm not looking to catch down through the layers of 6.5 foot. Not in this weather. I'm just bombing it down there. I want it to get down there nice and fast, um, and present as quick as I can to any fish that are there. We've kept the short 4 on there, as you can see as well, when we've hooked a fish, just simply because of the depth. 6'6" is, it almost leaves me with nothing above the float to the pole tip, where my top kits are cut off nice and short. It's just how I like to have them. So I'm using the short 4 connected as well. You can still reach the pool bung, and allows more elastic out when you're playing the fish. The less elastic you got out, the more stress on the line and the hook hold and everything else. When I'm using light elastics, I have mentioned before, sometimes I'll stand up as well because again, it allows more elastic out, doesn't it? So straight away, that worked. We've had a small carp in the deep water, so I'm feeding another deep water line. It's exactly the same depth, same length of pole. Make things easy. Can't stress that enough. Simplicity. Um, and I fed that straight away, so we can sort of move between those 2 lines for the next hour or so, and see if we can pick a few fish up. But we just had the one carp, and that's certainly not a carp now, is it? We've got a skimmer now straight after that carp, so we're putting something in the net. It all mounts up. It's no good worrying sometimes about other people catching loads of carp and things if you're not on them. You've got to catch what you can. So for now, just putting a few fish in the net and buying myself a little bit of thinking time while I'm doing that. This is nice and simple. It's short fishing. It's only a couple of sections on me short 4 and top kit there, and that's a nice little weir, a nice little tench. Good sport as well, aren't they? Tench are fantastic fish, aren't they? Love them. So just topping up. It went a little bit quiet, so we're just topping that up. and then we might have a quick look across again while that settles, or on the other line. So we've gone on the other line. And we had to wait. We did have to wait 3 or 4 minutes to get that bite. Thing is with snake lakes, sometimes you, whether you're on fish or not on fish, you've got to make. It's a little bit like you've got to make the peg last the length of the match. Now the match today is 5.5 hours, so I don't want to go smash bang wallop and feed all my lines and try them all and all the rest of it straight away. I'm trying to fish straight out in front of me, down that deep water, just off to an angle. So I haven't reached out of the peg yet at all, have I? I haven't fished that sort of 13-metre line yet. I got off to my left hand edge in 3.5 foot of water in front of that old stage in there, you can see, which is a bit of a feature, isn't it? But I haven't rushed to do that. I'm trying to sort of winkle fish out first of all, see how it's fishing. Keep an eye on what other people are doing and how they're catching, how it's fishing in general. Buy yourself a bit of thinking time. And looking round to me right as well, because I can see the guys on the bridge round there as well, which are very good pegs. So I've got Paul Nichols on 33. He'll be dangerous on there today. So unfortunately those lines have died, and died quite quickly. So what I've done now, as you can see, is I've put on another section, and I'm just holding behind that other section that we were fishing on just now. So I've just dropped the bait in behind where we fed, just to see if there's anything sort of holding off the back. And as you can see, it didn't take long. Straight away there was a fish there, wasn't there? Which tells me one of two things. There's either not that many fish there, so they're not competing, so it's backed off, or I've overcooked it. I don't think, in all honesty, I've overcooked it. I haven't put that many maggots in there. This has been dug out only a few months ago, though, the whole lake, so I don't think it's really silty. I felt around with the plummet, and there's a little bit. There isn't much yet. So the maggots haven't all sort of crawled away in the silt, so they are staying there. I'm sort of in my head, I'm thinking what I put in is staying there. But I haven't fed that much, so I don't think there's that many fish in that deep water at all. And this one feels a bit better than that other one. It's a bit of a small stocky, wasn't he, that first one? And the fish is worth taking its time over on this rig. As I was saying, it's a 4x16 rube, 018 main line, not messing about. I don't want 016 in that. I don't want to start tangling or breaking my main line. 018 main line, but it's a 6-inch hook length of 012, and an 18 LWG on there, and a couple of white maggots. Just bulk down 2 droppers, bulked an 8, so I think I've got 2 number 10 or number 9 droppers. It's all pretty positive. But it's all about section points. Everything counts. Over the period of 6 matches, I guarantee you'll always look back and realise the amount of points you've left behind. The first match I felt I wasn't on a great peg, and I'm certainly not on a good section peg today. But that first match, I still feel second was, once we realised how good that short line was, I felt if I'd gone on that 10 minutes earlier, second was achievable. So I left a point in the peg. We had a third in section, which was okay because you get paid for the top three in section. Top three in every section gets paid. There is no frame money in this league, which makes it quite unique. I mean, Paul Nicholls and Brian Slipper do a very good job running this league, and it's very, very popular. Hard to get into, to be honest. It's always a sellout. It's on a cracking fishery as well, mine, which always helps. So as you can see, we've gone on our 30-metre line now, down in front of the bit of stanchion there that's left from an old peg. We went in there, we didn't have to wait too long. We did feed it sort of 10 minutes before we went in, and we've fed this with a little bit of micro, and we're fishing a 4mm expander over it. I wanted to be a little bit more selective, if that's possible, with an expander. I didn't want to go down there fishing maggots and hooking odd roach or skimmers. And I just felt in that depth of water I'd get away with micro. As long as I wasn't lowering my bait straight on them as I put them in, I thought we'd get away with them. And it has worked. This feels like a proper carp. Again though, we're fishing quite light. That fish, I cut a bit of time out, really did pull. So I've just gone from 0.12 hook length up to 0.14 on it now. Fairly positive rig though, 4B12. And you can see it's the white hydro. The reason I got the white hydro is I think just if you're fishing off at angles, you want to be able to cleave that pole around in front of you, pull it around in front of you, and I just think soft elastic just allows all that to be so much easier. And when you're hooking to those fish, they don't bolt straight into the feature like they do with heavy elastic. They just swim out. So hook choice, we're on a B911 size 18, and the same across as we are down to the stanchion there. The reason is that thicker wire, an expander will stay on a thicker wire hook better than it will a fine wire hook. Fine wire hooks are all well and good for expanders if you're fishing straight in front of you really short. Otherwise, not ideal. They'll come off and that, and if you miss bites, they'll come off too easy as well. So the B911, by using a small size B911, it allows me to put maggots on there as well, even though they are quite heavy. It's a good hook to go between those two baits. Again, it's simplicity, isn't it? Just keep things as simple as you can. So obviously we've cut out a lot of time in between, and that just gently lifted into that fish, as you've seen then. But yeah, as I was saying, we've cut out quite a bit of time. We are waiting on bites. It's not, we're not dropping in and catching within seconds. But it's there is a few fish down there, thank goodness. So yeah, we're doing okay now. I feel like I feel we're doing all right. Still on those expanders and micros. I haven't put any maggots in there at all. We had those two nice big fish. First of all, we had one about £9, then one about 7.5, maybe £8. And they've got. We haven't had any of that big since, but they're good. They're all weighers. They're all right. I'm quite conscious though of sitting there and waiting too long for a bite. The moment I'm waiting sort of 7, 8 minutes or anything silly like that, I'll come off it because I don't want to catch the last one or two fish in there. I don't want to be waiting too long. We'll look to open up another line somewhere else or do something else then. Even if we went in that deep water and caught nothing, just to give it a break. I will say that, you can't just, this time of year, you can't just keep plundering the one line. But I'm going in there not waiting too long at the moment, so fairly happy with it. Oh, I can't believe this. It can't be. Oh, nightmare, innit? I can't believe it. That that is my top kit. That's my top kit that broke 3 weeks ago on the other side of the lake on peg 22. We're on peg 36 a day, and I've hooked and caught the same top kit. It's even got my cab pot on it, the white hydro in it.
Could write that, Lee, could you? I actually caught the top kit I broke the first round.
What's the chances of that?
And I lost the fish as well. So that top kit's fucking come back to haunt me, hasn't it? Nichols, you bagging?
It's got to be like 1,000,000 to 1, hasn't it? It's unbelievable. Can't get my head around that at all. Uh, so we've gone on a short line now. We've had to wait a long time down that edge, and there's about an hour to go. We flicked a little bit of maggot in down here about 15, 20 minutes ago. Not masses, but enough. And we've dropped in and we've had one, which is great news. It's quite close, isn't it? Top kit and a short 4 there. But we have got a good depth. We've got 4.5 foot there. So I did feel with 4.5 foot that close on that shelf. It isn't the flattest of shelves. So I've got a sort of strung out bulk really that I'm swinging out and letting it sort of swing back into the bank, and then sort of letting it all settle, and then dropping it down so as the hook length naturally falls down. But that amount of depth being that close has allowed me to fish it that short really. If I'd gone in there and it was 3 foot, I think I'd have put another section on and gone off to me right and found the same shelf sort of thing and just fished off to the right a little bit further away from myself. So a nice little run there on that close line, still on it now. And we're just using tackle on that is 4B12 again, although that sounds light. I sort of wanted a lightly strung bulk, but something that could swing into the shelf. And I sort of leave it like that. And as soon as I feel the sort of strung bulk register underneath my pole, sort of everything sort of straightens to an extent, I lower it in then. So the 6-inch hook length just drops naturally, and one or two I've had it just on the drop really. So yeah, it's getting a bit clearer now, the water. I think they can see that a lot easier. There's still some colour in it, so I'm still using white maggots. I do like white maggots when there's a bit of colour in the water. I will go reds when it's really clear. But so the kit on this is grey hydro, 018 mainline again, and a 014 hook length to give us a chance, because it's got a positive line to catch on, isn't it? But the hook on this, I was only ever going to fish maggot, but so it's a LWG again, but just a size 18. There's no rush on again playing the fish, because you want them to settle again. And as you've probably seen, I fed the line as soon as I hook a fish. So I've hooked this one. I've dropped the top kit back in the water so as I can see where my line is to feed. 2 little handfuls of maggots there, 2 little sprinkles of maggots, and then play the fish. Nice light elastic, so the fish has run out. If I had heavier elastic, I'd just be playing the fish where I've hooked it. So all any other fish that are in there are just going to get spooked, aren't they? And then we're swapping out between that now and the 13-metre line, so it did slow a little bit on that top kit in short 4, but I was thankful to catch those few fish we did. I do think it'll come good again for us. So swapping between the two, trying to just pick an odd fish off of the both. Yeah, we've obviously got Martin Ray a bit concerned now down on 40. Look, he's been pretty steady. I'd say he's well ahead in the section, to be honest. But he must be worried because I can see him vaping away down there. Yeah, I got him well ahead, to be honest. He's a good lad, Martin. Good lad on the right peg. Very hard combination to beat, isn't it? I was still quite conscious of taking my time with those fish, still on that white hydro on that 13-metre line. Still fishing those expanders on that line as well. Changed nothing on that really. It's worked very well. I actually think lessons learned today. I do think I should have started with expanders and micros across. I just think it would have had that little bit more scent about it, and that smell might have just caught me a carp or two. The maggots, I don't feel they were right at all. Now it might be that they weren't in that depth, and I think depth is paramount. You know, it's critical at all times, but especially even more so this time of year when fish are sort of at a premium. That's why all my rigs are all different depths. It's pointless me putting up, 2 rigs for the same depth. You've got to search the peg depth wise. And it seems to me that 3.5 to 4.5 foot has obviously been the best lines, hasn't it? It's the sort of depth the fish have wanted to sit in. But yeah, I do wonder if we'd have caught across starting with the micros and expanders. Schoolboy error there. But no one, I always say it, no one fishes the perfect match, and I think that's something we'll take away with us for the next round. That's in 2 weeks' time, so conditions, if they don't change too much, if it don't go too cold, that's how we'll start. I don't get to come down here in between rounds, it's just I come down and fish the round and that's it really. Yeah, we're getting into the dying sort of minutes of the match now really. Just trying to catch what I can. I do feel some of the lines are fading. I did go down to that left hand line as well, that 30-metre line, and I went down there and didn't catch one, which makes me think that 3.5 foot of water is not quite right now. Maybe where the temperature's dropped a little bit towards the end of the day. You've got to be quite aware of that, especially with the shallower water. Like if I was catching across or down the edges, the end of the match isn't necessarily the best. It's not like the summer and spring and such. They can want to drop down in the slightly deeper water, and 6 inches of water is massive. I learnt that at Todborough a long time ago, to be honest, going up and down the shelf catching short before it really became vogue over there as well, and the big weights came. This is back in the days when you sort of catch 150 to 200 pound to frame, and yeah, I used to have a lot of rigs set up to go up and down the shelves. Thanks ever so much for watching, everybody. Really appreciate it. As always, please remember to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Do stay tuned. The results coming.